Hello and welcome to The Forum, the show where we get to know a member from Monroe County Community College. I'm your host, Paul Stark, a student at Monroe County Community College and freelancer for the Agora. For this episode of The Forum, we are joined by Nancy Lucero, who's the new Assistant Director of Multicultural and Community Engagement. Hello Nancy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Nancy, kind of want to get a little bit of where you came from. So where did you grow up?
So I was born in Mexico, Oaxaca, Mexico to be specific, south part of Mexico. I moved to California when I was 6 and lived there up until the 2000s actually. 9/11 kind of hit the mark. That's when I moved to Michigan.
Okay. And you went to Monroe County Community College?
I did. So I started my college career at Monroe County Community College. I always knew that I wanted to transfer to U of M. I had gotten accepted, but
University of Michigan?
Well, yes,
Okay.
University of Michigan, correct. Yes, but I started at Monroe County Community College because it was way more affordable.
Yeah, of course. And you got your bachelor's in, I read that you got your bachelor's in American culture?
Yes,
And
yep.
your master's in social work?
Yes, both at U of M. So I actually went in with the intention of doing engineering. I was going to be an industrial and operation engineer.
That's a good one.
But along the way, I took some classes part of similar to our programs here at Monroe County Community College, where you need general education classes at U of M. You have to take a class on race and ethnicity. So I started taking some classes and I got really interested, and that's how I ended up with that major. Yeah.
Cool. Really interesting. So for social work, do you have to get a certification? Or is it just like you study and then you get a job, or is it like teaching?
Good question. I graduated with my bachelor's in American culture, but then I was like, I really don't know what I'm going to do with this. So then I applied for the master's program, and that's when I studied social work with the intention. So my degree is in social work. I am a licensed social worker, but my focus was in community organizing, so more of macro level social work.
Okay. What inspired you to be in this line of work? I guess, did you originally want to be, I know you wanted to be an engineer, but once you kind of took those classes, you figured out what you want to do. And then from there, how did you draw inspiration? Did you have any mentors, perhaps?
Yes, yep. So I had mentors, and I think that it's super important for all students, for actually just being a human being, to have people around you that support and like pour like really good positive vibes into your life. So I had incredible people who kind of just really guided me, especially through college, because I was a first generation college student. I was undocumented at the time, and that brought all sorts of situations that I was completely unaware of how to navigate. So I had incredible people around me who were guiding me along the way. And I guess part of, as you talk about inspiration, and even within my new role now, I hope to be that guide for other students to say, yes, you can do it. This is the path. Or look at this opportunity, because I think sometimes that's really important too. Sometimes we feel, or maybe at least I felt like I was not skilled enough or good enough, maybe that would be the word, to apply for internships, right, to get involved. So those mentors around me would constantly encourage me. Yes, to participate, to get involved, and obviously we all don't know the answers. We're all learning along the way, but it's important to take a leap.
After you got your master's, where did you go immediately? Did you work at school district, or did you go to a nonprofit?
So I started working. So part of taking that leap, while in college, I started working in the summer for the National Kidney Foundation, who have lots of programmings, but some of the programs that they have are for students K-12 to make sure that they are actively, or that they're being active, that they're eating good food that will prevent kidney disease or any other chronic health disease in the future. So they do a lot of summer program through summer camps. So I started doing that line of work, and then I had commuted my whole time to U of M, and
how long was it?
So the commute from Monroe to U of M was about like 45 minutes to an hour. And if you've ever been to U of M, or to Ann Arbor, I should say, traffic is insane. Finding parking is insane. So I didn't want to do that anymore. So I started looking for jobs locally, and I also knew that I wanted to spend more time in Monroe and actually be active in Monroe, because I was commuting a lot, so I would spend a lot of time in Ann Arbor and elsewhere. So I started looking for opportunities, And one of the opportunities that caught my eye was at Airport Community Schools as a restorative practice coordinator. So working with students who are having a hard time connecting with the school, having at times behavioral problems, assisting them, making sure that they feel connected and cared for and that they're important to the school district, to us, and how and to ensure that they feel an appreciation for the content that they're learning. So that's how I ended up in K-12 or in.
So you went and you went to the National Kidney Foundation over the summer and
Yes.
did the restorative behavior stuff.
Yes.
And then you went to school districts.
Well, the restorative work that I did was at the school district.
Okay.
So I did, when I graduated, I was offered a job at the National Kidney Foundation, and it was amazing, and I loved working there. The people were incredible, but I just didn't want to drive anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't want to commute or drive long distances.
Yeah.
And apart from that, Carlton from my house was like 20 minutes, and it was more stable.
Yeah, of course.
So I was looking for something like that, and that's where the position was restorative practices, and that's where I did that.
Along with National Kidney Foundation, there was another one I read that you worked at Puente.
Yes, so Puente is actually an initiative that me and my friend began.
Okay.
So I worked for, while working for Airport Community Schools, and just being a part of the Latino Hispanic community here in Monroe, being that we're such a small community, people or community members had always reached out to myself and to another good friend of mine who was very well knowledgeable and versed in everything healthcare and just insurance and setting up appointments and all of these things. And we realized that a lot of our community members were having a really hard time accessing some of the resources that we have here in town because of the language barrier. So me and her were actually just on a walk one day. She lives on Detroit Beach. And we were just talking about this, and she was just stating how sometimes our community members would say, hey, I need to set up this appointment. Could you help me with that? And that she would call into a doctor's office or wherever it may be, and they would question like, well, who are you and why are you doing this? So we were just thinking of ways to make that easier. And we were like, well, let's start a nonprofit. And she was like, well, let's start a nonprofit. To start a nonprofit, you need 3 people, which I didn't know at the time.
Really? I didn't know that.
Right. So it took us about like a year to find the right third person to kind of join along and for us to have a really good, solid group, right? Or a solid foundation to what we were wanting to do, and somebody who was also driven by our mission, right? And making sure that our resources here local are accessible by all. So once we found our third person, we applied for a nonprofit status, and we began to build this nonprofit organization. But honestly, it was never like a dream of mine. It was just we just really wanted to make the process easier. And that's where the nonprofit began, and it's called Puente, which means bridge. So we're trying to bridge a gap that we see in our community. So our nonprofit provides transportation, because transportation is a big barrier for a lot of community members here in Monroe County. Translation, more specifically for English and Spanish, vice versa. And as well as resource navigation. So for example, if somebody is calling and is stating, I am facing this situation, what resources are available to me, or I'm about to get evicted, what should I do, or I need to apply for assistance through DHHS, how do I do it? So we kind of help them navigate those resources.
Do you feel, as it stands right now, that students at Monroe County Community College are culturally inclusive?
You know what, I do want, I mean, I haven't had an instance where that has not been the case, even while I was a student and now as an employee there. I do want to say that I do want to promote, right, an atmosphere where all students feel that there's something out there for them. So that's kind of the intention of the Multicultural Student Association, to say this is for you to come, to join, to bring something to the table, right? If you have an idea, right? There was a student who came to me and stated that they would love to do like Day of the Dead, right? How could I, who celebrate Day of the Dead, bring that to, right, my fellow classmates or college, right? So they know why I celebrate this. What is this about, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a great idea. How can we do that, right? So not only through the Multicultural Student Association do I want to do that, but a part of what I would love for my for my position here at the college to become is an opportunity for students who have ideas, who want to do things that maybe have not done before, that we might have to figure out together because it hasn't been done before. Like, I want to be a person where they feel comfortable coming to me and say, I have this idea. How could we make this a thing?
Kind of like bridging the gap.
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah, bridging the gap, but for our students, right, to our institution. That is the community college. Next semester, I will also be starting what I'm calling circles of support. So starting in the winter semester on Wednesdays, and there will be different demographics that will be meeting at each circle of support. So college can be hard, and one of the things that I've realized coming into college is that most of our students sometimes come in, take the class, and go home. So they're not really connecting, right? Yeah, they're not connecting with an organization, right? The Agora, they're not making those connections. So they come in and then they leave. So there's no strong like kind of connection there. And I want to make sure that all of the students have an opportunity to do that, because college is hard, and when it gets really rough, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be there. But when you're doing it with people that
camaraderie.
Yeah, really exactly. When you're doing it together, when you're like, okay, you're struggling, I'm struggling, let's struggle together. So I'm going to run those circles of support next semester, which is the winter semester. So there's 4 specifically that where I'm starting off with, though I'm also open to starting different groups of support if students feel that there is a need. So I'm starting one for students who identify as Black, African American, so it's going to be called Black Excellence. Another one called Latinos Unidos, so for students who are Hispanic Latinos. My third one is Single Parent Scholar, so if, for students who are single parents who are, being a single parent is hard, extremely hard. So just providing a support group for those students who are going through that situation. And then my fourth one is first generation college trailblazers. So those students who may not have a parent who has been through college before, who could say, hey, yeah, let's fill out the FAFSA, right? Or, hey, you should look at this class, or make sure you get involved in this. So just providing that support for them. And with each other, right? It's not to say that I have all the answers, because I don't. And they're the ones going through, right, this college experience nowadays as to when I was, right? Things have changed. So I just want to make sure that these students have a voice, have a place to be heard, and are able to engage each other if they haven't connected yet, because we have more than one single parent coming to college, right? We have students who are first generation college students that might not necessarily know that there is another student out there, right? They might feel like, oh, I don't know the answers, and it might be dumb for me to ask this question, but the reality is that most of those questions a lot of students have, and there's obviously no dumb question, but I just want to make sure that those students are connecting with one another, and that they
have somewhere to go.
Have somewhere to go, yes.
Yeah. Along with those 2 that we covered, any big initiatives you have planned other than what we discussed?
Other than what we discussed. So part of my job is also to connect not only making sure that students who are within the college feel like they belong, but the community engagement piece are work that I do outside of the college.
In Monroe County?
Yep, in Monroe County. So I currently am hosting, I don't want to say hosting, I'm leading a college outreach at the community center at the ALCC every Tuesday to talk with students who are interested in going to college, who are just like 9th graders, right? Just beginning to see the horizons. Yep, to have to share a little bit more about the opportunities through dual enrollment, and when should I be looking to apply, right? What college should I be looking to apply to?
It's huge.
Yep, I think it's important. I do feel like some of these students may not necessarily get that opportunity to have that conversation elsewhere. And though we have amazing counselors in Monroe County, which we truly appreciate, I think those one-on-ones are really important, especially when the students
There's
are
a lot of students and not a lot of counselors.
Yes, for sure. So just that extra support, and also me going to the center, I think has also been very great, instead of having them come to the community college. Though we will have a campus tour the day before Thanksgiving. They will be coming out to visit the college to kind of get that college experience.
Other than that, I'd like to ask, besides work, do you have any hobbies?
I do. I have a life outside of work. I do. So I am an outside person. I love being outside. I have chickens at my house, and sometimes I just go outside and watch my chickens be chickens. They're funny. They're silly. They can be aggressive as well.
We used to have chickens.
Yep. And they're so. They're like the. Oh gosh, I don't even know what the right word. Like they're the most wanted prey in the world, it seems like. So
Yeah.
hawks are out to get them, foxes
my
are out to
gosh.
get them. But anyways, so we have chickens at our house. I also have two children. My daughter is 6 and my son is 2. So we spend
Yep.
a lot of time outside. I love being outside. I love the fall weather.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we finish?
Yes. So I'm super excited to be at Monroe County Community College. I am a member of our community here in Monroe. So I just want to tell all students that my office, if you ever want to come see me, I am housed in, once again, in admissions. I think my official room number is S108. But I have been trying to step out of my office more because I want to make sure that students know that I am available and accessible to them for conversation. Again, reach out to me if you have an idea, if you want to embark on a journey together. I'm more than willing. I'm just excited. Yeah.
You've been a fantastic guest, Nancy. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today. Tune in next time to see the next episode of The Forum.